Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 30-year veteran writer, illustrator, editor of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And today is a question and answers topic. I got an interesting question from CJF of South Carolina. He asks, "Hey Raven, do you think that all customers in comics should be treated equally regardless of age, race, gender, sexuality, or the size of their pocketbook? I mean, does the attitude of the customer is always right, always the best, does that attitude always best serve the retailers, the store, the comics market?" This is always a discussion with any kind of retail business. Ideally, yes, that premise takes hold, but what does it actually mean? The customer is always right. Because in practicality, the reality is the customer isn't always right. And sometimes you do have to put your foot down and dismiss a customer. But how does that pertain to comic books? Mark Anderson says hello. Hey, Mark, how you doing? A lot of retailers don't really abide by it, even though they say they do. There are many stores where younger children, under the age of 10 aren't really welcome without a parent. And there's a reason for that, actually, because, they may not necessarily understand that these are collectibles and not just something to be grabbed and tossed and messed around with. And you want to have parental supervision. I get that, but there's also a way of going about how to present that to the public, and not just when a kid comes in by themselves to get something. You don't snark at them or be mean to them about it for not having a parent or a guardian with them. You can't just yell, "Hey, this isn't a daycare center," or "I'm not a babysitter," type thing to a parent, because there might be something going on where maybe they were right outside the door handling something on the phone before they walked in, or something, and they didn't realize the kid went in the store or something. You don't have to be mean about it. There's ways to handle water cooler talk, shall we say, in the store. And there's ways to know when and how to cut off people. And I've had some people, tell me, even at stores, so when I've been a customer, that I need to cut off a conversation because there's other customers in the store who are either sensitive to the conversation, or something might be going on where they can tell that the customer's not happy with the situation. That means I was in the wrong and I need to stop talking about something, because it was damaging to the store. So yes, in that regard, the customer is not always right, and you always have to be aware of that. But what does this philosophy mean? It means that you always want to try and make your store a friendly and inviting environment for anyone who walks in the store, and that is regardless of age, race, gender, sexuality, etc. But again, that does not necessarily mean that they're right about everything. And when someone's spending 40 minutes uh, complaining about a creator to you and it's distracting you and you're not able to do your best job helping other people have a good experience in your store, that's when you have to have the awareness to put your foot down and say, hey, you know we've talked enough about this. You bought your books, I got to go help some other customers now, or something to that effect. Thanks for coming in, we'll see you next week or next time. And I've been in stores where someone who'd been talking to a person 20, 30, 40 minutes straight, and I couldn't get cashed out because of it. And there's been times where I and a retailer have gotten into a conversation and we didn't realize that someone was waiting to be cashed out too. So, again, and when that happens, we try to, apologize for taking up that person's valuable time waiting on us to get through talking. So, you try to be fair about it. Pop Culture says, hey, Raven, on my phone, traveling and listening. Okay, that's cool. Just want to make sure you knew I saw your post. It's when, I'll give you an example. I was in the store, in a comic shop a couple years back. It was 90 plus degrees out. My father, who's on oxygen, was waiting in the van outside. And there were these 4 people basically complaining about Nazi cap, not Nazi Captain America. And I was a regular in the store, but usually I would wait until the retailer would wait until everybody else was out of the store before they would get my books, because I usually get a huge box load of books every week, whether it was trades or whatever, and it was a lot of independents and stuff that the regular customers wouldn't know about and stuff. And I was just getting a little bit perturbed, and I finally said, who cares about this stuff right now? I got to get my stuff now. And they snapped back at me and said, well, you never buy anything in this store anyway. You're always in here. We never see you buy anything. So I want to know why you're in here. And so I got mad and I told the retailer, go get my box right now. And it turned out to be like $700 worth of books. And so they were like, oh. So there you go. Mark Andrew Smith says, for me, this is the original quote that has been changed over time. The customer is always right in matters of taste. That's the actual quote. All that means is if the customer wants to buy a hat you think is ugly, then find one and buy the hat. The customer is always right. Never meant you as the customer is always right. That is correct. And again, the customer is always right in matters of taste. Even that's not really accurate. And what I mean by that is, if a person knows what they want, yes, let them buy what they want. Don't judge people on that. But if a person is buying something and complaining about what they're buying, clearly they have no taste, and you have to take that with yes, you let them buy it if that's what they really want to buy, but at the same time, you try to steer them away from that, because it hurts. It hurts their enjoyment of the hobby, and it hurts and creates a negative environment space for your store, because other people see that and they go, wow, you actually sold them a book that they didn't like. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, in that regard, even that, in matters of taste even, or they might be somebody who's new and don't really know. They just, well, my friends told me about this book. They told me I should try it. Or I saw the movie and I thought I'd try the book comic or something, and they really aren't familiar. They haven't developed a taste per se yet. In that regard, they're not always right. So, you always want to as Mark says, guidance can be helpful in comics, right? It can be helpful. But mostly what it is just providing I don't want to call it a safe space per se, because that's just such a politically correct type thing, but just an environment where people feel welcome and not, um, you know, not alienated because they're not full on comics nerds, or because they're a little bit younger, or because they don't read superhero comics, they read slice of life comics or whatever. And like I say, a lot of stores really don't provide that kind of an environment. And maybe that's not for a lack of trying, because when you create these environments, you have to kind of, we all have our little clique groups of fandom that are always forming these stores anyway. Again, the water cooler talk type discussions, but you don't want them to bully, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, other customers as a result, with judgmentalism or whatever. And at the same time, you don't want people to ignore each other. If someone's looking aimlessly around, looking for something, and they look like they're lost, you'd like to have a customer base that's friendly and engaging enough to help someone if you're too busy as a retailer cashing people out, because it's a busy time of the day, or it's free comic book day, or whatever it is, and help. And I wish more customers understood that, because a lot of customers these days, they tend to come into the store, grab their stuff, pay, and get out as fast as they can, almost like they're embarrassed to be in the store. But I think the reason that has become that way is because of the nature of the internet and how we deal with that kind of negativity online. We don't want it in the store. And I think that's why they don't do it, because they think, well, it's going to happen if we do it. So I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum. But yeah, basically, the idea is to build an environment for your store that is more friendly to everyone, rather than the customer's always right, so to speak. That's basically the answer for that. And I think the gentleman who asked that question, CJF, who used to be a retailer, I think the reason he asked me this was trying to trap me in something. Because we not that he and I necessarily had this conversation specifically, but CJF was the retailer who got mad at me about that situation with my father being outside, and then when he realized, oh, now I know why you're mad at me. Okay, makes sense. But anyway, so if you guys have questions for the show or suggestions for content for the channel, email me at quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. As always, I thank you for watching the show. We'll be back a little bit later after I take care of some errands to talk about what comics I got at the shop this week. That's one of the errands I have to go run. Got to go get them before I can talk about them. And we're waiting for my stupid computer to do what it needs to do, as always. Let's see. There we are. So if you did like my video, or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from my channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. You can reach out to me on social media at Lewis.BrightRaven at Facebook, on Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2. You can see some of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quote the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. Again, questions, comments, commissions, Quote the Raven, LBR72@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you within a day or two, try LewisBrightRaven@yahoo.com. That's all for this time. We'll see you later today. And until then, have a great day.